So does anybody remember these things? They're tree planters. They're popular every couple decades or so, and they're starting to become popular again, and I want to actually make 2 of them. I'm going to put the 2 of them in my backyard. In order to do that, I got to build simple cinder block walls to kind of encase the whole entire thing, and that's how I'm going to get the raised bed look of a tree planter. So I'm going to be going through a full, simple DIY cinder block wall build. This isn't going to be something that you build a structure on top of. These are just normal cinder block walls that you can build for a garden, a raised bed, a decorative wall, or something along those lines. So let's go ahead, go outside, and start building these. Mine are going to go right here. One here, and one here. So the first thing you want to do is mark out where you're actually going to put your planters, because you're going to have to dig down and put a footer. So a footer is a concrete slab that's either on top of the ground or below the ground, depending on where you live, that provides a nice, stable, flat surface that the cinder block sits on. Because you don't want your cinder blocks just sitting on the dirt, because over time it's going to shift, your wall will crack, the whole thing will just crumble apart. Now footers actually have to be done in a specific way according to wherever you live and the codes. So where I live, the width of the footer has to be twice as wide as the cinder block you're using. So I'm using these little 4-inch ones, so my footer actually has to be 8 inches wide. And also your footer needs to be below the frost level. In order to find the frost level, all you gotta do is just go to Google, put your zip code in, put frost level, footer depth. And then it's gonna pull up all your city codes and everything, and it's gonna tell you exactly how deep your footer needs to go below the frost level. So I did that, and after I looked at it, I decided I'm just gonna ignore it and do whatever the hell I feel like doing. So let's start digging. Now I think for legal reasons, I want to say I follow the rules exactly the way they're written. Now, you never really want to pour concrete directly on the soil or any other kind of organic material, because over time the soil could expand or contract, which could lead to cracks. Or if you pour onto something that can decompose, it can lead to voids under the concrete, which could lead to cracks, or over time the concrete can settle at a weird angle. Now ideally you want to use number 57 stone, but I had about 10 bags of this smaller stone left over from the fence, so I just went ahead and used that. Now for pouring the concrete, I know it's a really touchy subject. I'm doing a regular wet pour, but if you want to do a dry pour, it's your project. Do whatever the hell you want to do. I have nothing against dry pouring. I actually gave it a shot on a little slab that's in front of my shed, and I did it 3 years ago. I did it 3 inches thick with some rebarb, and it's worked perfect ever since. But I just think for this particular project, I think doing a wet pour is more appropriate, so that's why I'm doing it. Now I know a lot of people in the comments are going to be talking about how they're experts in concrete and about how I'm doing it wrong, and really no matter what you do with concrete, somebody's always going to say it's going to crack, it's going to fail, you're doing it wrong, you have no idea what you're doing. It's just the typical tradesman going off in the comments. But always remember, this is your project. Do whatever the hell you want to do. Okay, so the footings are fully cured and ready for the first set of bricks. And how we're going to do the first set of bricks is we're going to lay them all out exactly where we want them. Then we're going to mark it off. That way we could take them off and then drill holes down where the cavities are in the bricks, so we could put rebarb down through them, and then we stack the bricks down through the rebarb and fill those cavities with concrete. That way it makes the wall perfectly solid. And then we'll start stacking the bricks up off of that. And from there, there's 2 ways you could do it. You could do what's called a wet stack, is where you put mortar between each layer of brick, or you can do what's called a dry stack, which is what we're going to do. Now, a dry stack is exactly what it sounds like. You're just stacking the bricks right on top of each other without mortar between, because you're going to put something on the outside which is going to seal the bricks together. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want a perfectly clean, flat surface, because I just want that look. And to achieve it, it's going to be a dry stack. Now, if any of that sounds confusing, don't worry about it. We're going to go step by step, and you're going to see exactly what's happening. So I laid some strings down just to make sure I'm going in a perfectly straight line. And take your time, wiggle them around, get them exactly where you want them. And again, Duluth Underwear Department, please, I'm open for sponsorship. Look at all this free advertisement you're getting. And again, laying these strings down are the best way to get a perfectly straight line, and it's also a great reference point when you're putting the bricks back. Okay, now that I got the blocks exactly where I want them, now what I'm going to do is spray inside the cavity so I know exactly where the cavities are.
That way I could drill down with a 1/2-inch drill bit so I could put the rebarb down into it. Now, if you're really good at prep work and measuring and everything, you could put the rebarb in when you're pouring the footer, but I'm not that good at planning things out, so I gotta do it the hard way. Now that all the cavities are marked out, all you need is a good masonry bit, a big ass drill, and then just start drilling where you want your rebarb. Now I'm only going to do 3 per side, 1 on each corner and 1 in the middle.
And I strongly suggest taking the extra time to prep out where the rebarb is going to be, because drilling these holes was an absolute pain in the ass. Okay, now that you got your rebarb in, you're going to want to start stacking your first layer, and you're going to want to use mortar on your base layer. Even if you're doing a dry stack, you always need that first base layer mortar. And think of mortar almost like a super glue. You have to super glue basically the bricks down. And make sure you use level, make sure everything's perfectly straight, because your base layer is arguably the most important layer, because it's the foundation of everything that's going to be built up on. So if it's a little off or a little crooked, it's going to be exaggerated at the top and it's going to look really far off. Also, anytime you're messing with anything concrete, whether it's mortar, concrete mix, a quick wall, whatever it is, please wear gloves. Keep that crap off your skin, because what it's going to do is just suck the moisture right out of your hands and it's going to ruin your hands.
Okay, so that one's done, and I did this one yesterday, so it's actually ready for the cavities to be filled. Now, supposedly, if you're using a quick wall, they say you don't actually have to fill the cavities with the concrete, but since this is going to be full of dirt, I would feel more comfortable filling it with concrete to just cause more stability for the wall. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start filling the cavities, then we're going to stack a layer of bricks and keep filling.
This mortar mixer drill attachment, hands down, is one of the best things I got for this whole entire project. I'll leave a link for it down in the description. So I started with just filling the first layer about 3/4 of the way up, and then stack the next layer, and then fill that one about 3/4 of the way up, and then just keep doing that over and over and over, and basically until your back completely explodes. Seriously, I cannot describe to you how much my back was killing me at the end of each one of these days. This is definitely a young man's job.
Okay, so admittedly, I messed up here just a little bit. I forgot to turn my mic on. So what I'm going to do is just do a voiceover and try to match what I was saying in the video, because there's a lot of important information that I need to get out. But it's probably not going to line up very well, and it's going to look like one of those old Godzilla Japanese movies where it's like really bad voiceovers. But it's the best I can do.
The walls are fully finished and the concrete on the inside is completely dry. Now we can add the quick wall. Okay, so the way this stuff works is you apply it a lot like drywall mud. It has the same consistency and the same kind of look of it. So you start at the bottom right here and you come up over top and you encase the entire wall. And that's what gives it its rigidity. Something, I don't know, gesturing toughness. Yeah, I'm not really sure what I'm saying here. No, wait, I remember. It was about the capstones. So you're supposed to put the capstones on and encase the whole entire thing with the quick wall. But I'm going to do it a little bit different, because I want to do the capstones a little bit different than what they normally are. I want to add some like a little bit more unique style capstones. So what I'm going to do is encase the entire wall without the capstones, then put some mortar down and put the capstones on top of that. I think it's still going to give it the same rigidity, and it's going to look kind of cool. So this is where I'm just mixing it up, and I actually wanted to show everyone how many fibers are actually in this stuff. It's crazy. I've never seen anything like it. Look at all the fiber that's in there. I guess that's what gives it its like really, really strong strength. Okay, so this is me actually applying it. As you can tell, it's got the same consistency as drywall mud, like the general purpose stuff, not the real light compound, but it goes on so smooth and so easy. And like I said, you just start at the bottom, you work your way up, and you really shouldn't have any problem with it. The only thing that I didn't like is I hate using this finishing trowel. I just hate it. If you watch, you'll see I drop so much of this stuff. I drop about 50% of this bucket onto the ground trying to use this finishing trowel. So this is where I came up with a great idea. Since this stuff has the same consistency as drywall mud, and you kind of apply it the same way, instead of using this finishing trowel, which I'm not good with, I'm just going to use this drywall taping knife because I'm more familiar with it. I'm more familiar with how getting a consistent layer with this, that I'm just going to go ahead and give this a shot and see if it works any better. And using this drywall knife, it's so much better. I like it a lot more. It just, for me, it goes on a little bit more consistent and quickly. So if you're trying to do this and you're not used to using one of those finishing trowels, give a drywall knife a try. It worked for me. So the total time it took me to do the inside and outside of both of these planters was about 40 minutes. And like I said, switching over to the drywall knife was so much better for me. But also, if you do have more experience with a finishing trowel, go ahead and use that. I think you're going to get the exact same results no matter what you use. It just depends on how comfortable you are with using that tool. And also, again, this is just a fantastic way to completely destroy your back. Also, I never mentioned what kind of trees I'm putting in here. I'm putting in apple trees because I love apples, and I'm doing a Honeycrisp and a Gala.
Jesus Christ. That's Jason Bourne.
Okay, so here I'm putting the capstones on it, and I'm using that quick wall as a mortar because supposedly you can use the quick wall as a mortar. But, oh man, what a disaster that was. That stuff sucks as a mortar. Don't use it as a mortar. It's such a mess. It's hard to work with. The crap gets everywhere. The fibers are just a mess to work with. Ugh, just don't do it. Just use a regular mortar, and it's going to work a million times better than a quick wall. But anyways, you can kind of see what I'm going with. I went with that kind of like the busted up edge look on the outside to keep it a little bit more rustic. I'm going to do them brown, but I'm going to have to repaint all of them after I'm done because this mortar is just getting everywhere. Okay, so they're fully done now, and I love the two-tone looks. That came out way better than expected. The total price was around $500. That's with dirt and trees. I'm sure you can make it a lot cheaper if you look around for some good prices. I think it really brings character to the whole entire backyard, and you know what? It was actually kind of easy to do. It was just a lot of back-breaking labor, but it wasn't too technical. Look at that doggo. Look at those big old floppy ears. So cute. But hey, if you liked the video and you got something from it, please hit the like button or hit the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. It really does mean a lot to me. And until next time, thank you so much for watching, and I will see everyone later.